Hey, how's it going? This is jc.exe, and this is going to be my Shotgun Blast review, where I try to make a review of a game in less than 5 minutes in order to help you decide whether or not you should play it. So bam, let's get started. So welcome to AFF, Angels Fall First, a sci-fi first-person shooter by Strangely Interactive. Now this is one of those games that kind of sideswiped me on Steam because it just came out of nowhere screaming that this is how a game should be developed and all future games should be developed from AAA titles, but this is an indie team, a very small indie team that apparently had been working on this for about 7 years, during their free time and evenings. So, with that said, it makes you really wonder if they actually did this full-time, what they could accomplish. Bam! Let's talk about the graphics and the audio. One of the first things that's immediately going to jump out at you is the level of detail to every vehicle, every weapon, every map level design. There is absolutely no shortage on map diversity of where you could be fighting, whether it be out in space having epic dogfights while fighting alongside your battle cruisers, to fighting in open warfare on a planet trying to take over a base, rushing through the enemy forces with your vehicles and tanks. There was also no shortage to CQC battle in sprawling cities and urban environments in a futuristic city. Now when you're doing these dogfights and you're having these epic fights around your battle cruisers, or you're down on the ground pushing into the enemy base that they're trying to desperately hold together, you can't help but wonder why it sounds like it's a giant paintball war. Alongside the animations, when you're just peppering down your opponent looking like you're just giving him a big tickle bath of gunfire, he just stands there unfazed, and it takes probably a good full clip to drop someone at times. When the vehicles explode next to you, especially in the ground combat like your tanks and your regular four-wheelers, they tend to have no substance when they explode, just a little ball of fire, and then there's nothing there, it's gone, it's disappeared, it's deleted from the scene. Sometimes you're lucky to get any audio at all once it explodes. Now, I can't rag on the audio too much, because when you're inside the ships during the space combat and you're taking damage in the hull, you can hear from inside the ship the groaning and cracking as if it was the sound of whales singing. Once the ship has taken enough damage, you go into red alert phase, and that's when the alarms are going nuts, things are exploding, everything's catching on fire, everything's turning red, and you're like, hey, I should probably get out of here. So bam, that brings me over to the content of the game now. So what do you get for your $13 purchase for this game? Assuming you get it while it's still on sale before it goes back up to 17 bucks. Well, you get a seamless space combat experience with large ships and cruisers that you can fight with inside and repair and man the turrets. You can board the enemy ships. You can also go into ground combat with vehicles. You get a decent tutorial, and you get bots for practice if you want to just play by yourself or offline, and battlefield style mission types like the rush maps and a few other ticket-based type victories. They also got a commander mode if you want to get voted in as the commander. It's kind of an RTS sort of pseudo element to it. However, I wouldn't bother touching it until they do something with that tactical map and make it a little more user friendly, especially for beginners. Oh, and don't let me forget, guns, 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 and more guns, and customize, 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 customize. So bam, let's talk about the bad stuff now. Let's go ahead and get one thing out of the way. On day one, it was a laggy pile of mess, even despite having only about 5 servers online, and maybe less than 100 people. The guns sounded like paintball guns, and also made it look like they were paintball guns when it takes about a half a dozen just to get somebody to drop. The beginning of the game can also be very disorienting. I highly recommend you do go through that tutorial. It will give you a few insights on some things you may not know about. For example, getting into third person is an awkward key. It would be the bracket keys, or aka the comma and period keys, which will be very handy for you to know when you're stuck on your spaceship looking out from the nose of it. The space combat can feel very floaty and a little bit janky at times, and the ground combat felt like a really bad Unreal Tournament simulator. You're better off just using the hip fire instead of using well-placed iron sight shots and trying to get splash damage going, because everyone moves around really fast. There's a lot of lag at the moment, and it becomes very difficult to hit people. It's very common to see people just running around with knives coming at you because you just can't hit them when they're running a full sprint at you. There's also bugs galore at the moment, which is obvious even though it's been in development for 7 years. You will go through walls at times in space, you'll go through all sorts of different things, and also I fell through the ground, which was really funny because I had a sniper rifle, and at some point you'll land safely at the bottom of the map, and you can shoot from the bottom and all the way up to the top and kill people. Bam! I'm giving this a 7 out of 10 because this reminds me of the old Battlefield games. This is like what Battlefield 1942 sequel should have looked like. Obviously, this is more of a sci-fi genre, but I miss having the giant ship battles, you know, the huge cruisers, you have the fighters that can be deployed from them, you have the ground combat, the tanks, you have everything included in this whole package here. The only thing that's holding it back, obviously, is some of the bugs, the audio, and the overall jankiness and confusion of their UI. Thanks for watching, broskies.